Hello everyone and welcome back to Womtham. This is going to be a fairly quick video. I just wanted to introduce to you how I'm going to be approaching this side of the city, but also how I approach the roads. Now that's going to seem silly. I'm not talking about how I'm drawing the roads, but rather the logic of my thinking when it comes to where are those roads placed. Now, we have the concept of major roads like this here, and we've got these more minor roads here, but I would consider, this is a major. This is still a significant road, right? I'm not sure significant is the appropriate word, but you get the idea. Then we get these alleyways. So main, secondary, tertiary type of deal. So when it comes to here, we have this massive blank canvas. How do I decide where the roads go? Well, I've got a few tricks. First and foremost, let's just change our brush to just simply hard round, no pen pressure size. I always like to mark off areas around fortresses like so. And in fact, let's just do that. There we go, you can see the cursor a little bit better. I also like to mark off areas next to my walls, unless this is a place where our buildings are right up against the walls. I feel like just for troop movements and the likes, that there would be a gap, right? So what I've got here is a trace layer. I always call it a trace layer. Imagine you've got a pencil or something like that. I'm drawing on a layer of Photoshop that I can apply some transparency to, and I can just ignore it. I can use it as a guide, but I can freely just then erase it, throw it away after use. So what I'm doing now is just kind of earmarking off this no build zone, if that makes sense. I'm then going to do, I think... Okay, so this here is actually going to be the old town, right? The old fortification. This is where Womtham started, right here. And I think we're going to do some kind of shape like that, and it's going to come up onto the hill here. So, I'm actually going to erase this line here, because it's just getting in the way. We kind of get the idea. And I'm going to start with our main road, right? I'm going to, and I want this to kind of be a nice sort of flowing shape. So something like this into Old Town, flowing around, coming up here, and out of the city. And we'll kind of just mark off the other side. This, we're not going to turn into ink. This is going to be where we draw buildings either side of it. They will, just like here, and let's turn that off so you can see what I'm talking about, they are defining the main road. It's the edge of the building that's doing it. That's kind of my style. So that's our main road there. Well, we've got another one right here and right there. So where did these guys go? I think this down here would come into the old city. I think you could also argue that maybe it followed the water's edge. But if we've got the original Womtham up on a hill, and then it kind of spilled down the hill towards the water, I think this construction here, I think, well, you know what? I was going to come into here, but now I'm changing my mind. Because Old Womtham, I think that's what we're going to call it, right? Old Womtham wouldn't need more than this for in and out. That's a fairly small town. So at the point where they've actually got this outer wall, that's when we get the gate. And I'm thinking that maybe this here would have followed the water's edge, but we're going to have some warehouses and the likes along here. So I think what we're going to do is, yeah, you know what? We're going to come in here. And it used to follow the water's edge like this and maybe meet up with the river. But we're going to kind of then bend it away. And we're going to come in right in between Old Womtham. Oh, you know what we could do? It does come up to Old Womtham. And it's going to come right along the edge of the wall. I love the idea of the road being next to the wall. So this road kind of got rerouted at some point. But it kind of did this because it was coming into town. It did that. And that's going to give us room for our warehouses and things like that here. And then conversely, I think we'll take it on the other side, like so. This is getting a little messy, so let's just try and clean that up a little bit. I mean, the sketching and then the sketching. But we'll do something like this. And I think I love the idea. We're gonna follow this edge here, and then as we get up onto the hill, it's gonna peel away, and we're gonna keep it nice and organic, and maybe head on over to our industrial area. And this is one way that they're moving goods from the industrial area deeper into town is through this. Now I'm not gonna go too close here, and nor am I gonna be drawing buildings. But there's definitely going to be some buildings alongside the edge here, right? I'm going to have warehouses, I'm going to have industrial buildings and so on. So we're going to now peel away from there. And I think we're going to follow the edge of this because I think that would be natural for it. And then we're going to get back into this sort of flowing shape of something like this. This is the path of our major roads through town. Now this is just our primaries. What about secondaries? This is then how I do this. I like to create districts, so to speak. Let me show by example. This area here and this area here are not connected with secondary roads. They're not even connected with a primary road, right? And I think there would be. There's a need of movement to get people into those areas. We have a major road right here that I think would be natural to split both left and right into the north and south parts of the city without having to bring your horse and cart all the way through town. Foot traffic, so to speak. Where does it go? Where does it need to get? And how is it going to get there? So before we get into that, I think what we're going to do is I want to get a marketplace in here. And I think I'm really tempted to throw a marketplace in here. Okay? The reason being is I didn't want to put it on the west side because it's too small. It's too small. I want the foot traffic to have to come through and then into town. I don't want to put it in here in Old Town, even though that could be a good location for it. And it's kind of the intersection of all of the roads. If the keep has expanded, one of the things that would have happened is there is going to be some trade. But I think that the trade could have happened outside of here. Maybe we put a marketplace right there in the heart of Old Town. I kind of like that idea. All right. Let me know in the comments below, by the way, if you disagree with that. Where should our marketplace be? Hit me up. Influence Womtham before we actually get too deep and start inking it in. Let me know where you think the marketplace should be. Next, temples and the likes. I'm going to keep them away from the industrial area. I'm thinking, you know, a kind of a mixture of old town, maybe new town. Maybe we kind of sort of do our temples here. We'll have some up on the top of the hill too. But maybe we do something like this, even alongside town. You know, something like that. Where are well, I think shops and everything are right along here and so on and so forth. We'll have sort of general sort of residential up here. Do we have a rich district versus a poor district? Poor definitely on the outside of town, definitely on the sprawl in the top left corner there. I'm thinking rich district kind of is overlooked. Well, I think the actual island there could be an interesting place, but in this particular town, I'm not sure there's much benefit for having a view out over the river, but there could be. So we're definitely going to have, you know, the real aristocracy up here. We're definitely going to have them in the old town. Really tempted to move our marketplace here, by the way. Really tempted to move our marketplace there. Really tempted. Near the temples, maybe our rich are kind of, you know, kind of like this type of thing. Next to the major roads, access, next to the temples, next to Old Town. If we agree that the rich would at least be in the south, not the north, because this is a heavy industrial area, then that means, generally speaking, the further we get away from Old Town and the more north we go, it's going to start phasing into industry and lower cost of living and so on and so forth. Remember, we are definitely going to have a bunch of sprawl outside of town as well. Why am I doing this? Well, because we are going to have, let's get rid of these, a point of access like this. Note that I'm only drawing one side right now. We are going to have a point of access. I kind of like the idea of a staggered sort of crossroads. Point of access right through the heart there, right through here, and connecting back up there, right? So this now connects the major road north. It's almost like a, what do they call them? Like a band road or something like that, circular road. But it's a connecting road. And this here will connect up like so. So now I can get into the broad areas and neighborhoods, right? Here, probably something like this, maybe something like that. This accessing the warehouses that we're going to be putting along there. This, we're almost certainly going to have a little road along the edge here, like so. The warehouses will be on the other side. And maybe this actually then comes into that area there. So what I'm doing is this almost like veins, right? I'm kind of trying to ensure that there is a flow of blood or a flow of traffic into my various parts of the city. And I'm thinking, this gives us our traffic. Now, if you imagine that we draw buildings in here, like so, and obviously we're going to leave a gap and so on. That road, you can see, becomes my guide for where these buildings are going to get plopped down. And I think that could work. Now, as I actually get into the details of these, alleyways start to form on their own. But I occasionally, well, let's say we'll look like an area like this. This is a big area to fill with buildings on its own. And often what I'll do is, as I'm working this area, I'll do something like this, just to create some interest. You know, and I'll like those are my tertiary roads then, and I'll draw around those. So we're definitely going to have others in this area without a doubt. But these are my main guides for now drawing my buildings and my little neighborhoods. So with that said, I'm going to drop off camera. I'm going to start inking in some of these buildings. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. If you are entertained by these Greyhawk city maps, please do consider tickling that like button right there. And if you are a saucy, sexy type of fellow, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Much love to you all. Check out my Patreon where you are going to get this Womtham map and every other Greyhawk map that I do, plus my historical ones, absolutely free, one a month. I will see you on Patreon. Yeah, go check it out. Love you. See you in the next video.